I think that what's going on here is a similar situation to what you might expect from the mob. They're trying to be cognizant of the amount of breakage that might happen. And every once in a while, you have to say, you know what? This is the cost of doing business. It's baked into it. Every once in a while, we're gonna have a lawsuit. We're gonna have to spend some millions to settle it. Every once in a while, we're gonna have to throw somebody under the bus. That's what I think is happening here. Amway Double Diamonds and LTD founders Larry and Pam Winters' apology. They're the leaders of LTD, which stands for Leadership Team Development. And it's one of these, in my opinion, sort of front companies or funnel companies that are not directly associated with Amway. They're not owned by Amway, but they're basically like an LLC. This is my understanding of it. That's set up to facilitate training and tools scam mentioned, everybody, for people who are in Amway, but the company LTD is itself not Amway. It's sort of like how there's the Yeager Group from the estate and family of Dexter Yeager, who was famously the most wealthiest, highest earning person in the history of Amway, largely from the tools. There's also Bill and Peggy Britt, who have Britt Worldwide. There's also Worldwide Dream Builders, etc., etc. In my experience, every single MLM has something like this. So let's watch this.
We come to you today to share from the heart. We messed up, plain and simple.
During our presentations at LTD Summit 2025 in Louisville, Kentucky, held September 26 through 28, our words and our videos crossed the line. We violated Amway's QAS content standards and the rules of conduct, and that's on us, not LTD, not the team, not Amway.
Here's exactly what we did wrong. We shared extraordinary earnings and lifestyle claims, which is never allowed. We used prohibited words and phrases. We mispositioned the Amway opportunity by making it sound easier than it is. I used sarcastic and disparaging remarks, even if it was meant in humor or to grab your attention.
Struggling so hard to read off the teleprompter. I almost feel bad. I almost feel like this is elder abuse, that you've, wheeled these two dinosaurs out onto this set for this apology. It's all so bizarre, but let's continue with it.
They jeopardized Amway's and IBO reputation. I diminished time and effort by implying success can come fast, and I oversimplified the work involved. We mispositioned the AP by overselling LTD, the team, and upline mentorship as the key to guarantee all success. When referencing incentive trips, we failed to disclose the percentage of people who earn these trips. We incorporated religious projection and faith-based promotion. We overshared personal beliefs in a business setting and overpromoted the Sunday morning optional worship service.
We own every single one of these violations. No excuses. Amway's QAS exists for a reason. They preserve the integrity of the Amway Corporation, the Amway Opportunity, and Amway IBOs. We fell short of meeting these standards at Summit. We apologize to Amway for our lack of compliance in writing, on the phone, and face-to-face. Part of rectifying our non-compliance involves being suspended from our Amway business while we undergo retraining on the QAS content standards and create retraining for LTD.
You know us. This is a bump in the road for Larry and Pam. It's a reset. While we retrain, reteach, and rebuild trust starting today with you.
To every IBO watching, we're sorry and we apologize for any confusion that we may have caused.
I love this comment. How can you get suspended from a business that you own? Oh, that's right. Because you don't own your business. You're not an independent business owner. Your business owns you. Excellent point. And the fact that it's not just like a low-level distributor or husband and wife couple that's being forced to make this apology. It's like the tippy top of the biggest training organization in Amway, as far as I know, LTD. My guess as to why they even had to do this apology, I'm not sure, so I'm not alleging anything. I don't know, but this is my guess, okay? In my experience with MLMs, the first option when it comes to silencing criticism or minimizing bad publicity is to attack. That's my experience with MLMs. They discredit, they report videos. As a matter of fact, to this day, the only 2 videos that I've ever gotten removed on TikTok for a copyright claim were videos where I used the Amway logo in the video, not because I was representing myself as Amway, but just for the purposes of identifying the company that I'm talking about. And before that happened, the amount of comments from people from all over the world who were attacking me and defending Amway was absolutely insane. So my guess as to why they even had to do this is because A, they were unsuccessful at silencing a disgruntled former distributor who was threatening to publish a video or go to the media or file some sort of complaint with the FTC, etc. That's my guess as to what the first first tactic was. My second guess was that they realized that one or more LTD distributors who had left but still had access to the content that they were posting on the website or their app or whatever they use had in their possession such a large catalog of screenshots and recordings and evidence of these deceptive claims, these violations of the Amway QAS, that they realized it was going to be a problem for them, and that them putting this video out, taking accountability, is a way to mitigate any sort of potential prosecution that might come their way or legal liability. By having these people classified as independent distributors, you as the company minimize your legal responsibility over their conduct, because you can say, well, they're not actually an employee of ours. So it's sort of like getting to have your cake and eat it too. You get to benefit from these people going out there and selling the dream and telling lies and violating the QAS and recruiting. But then when shit actually hits the fan and gets real, you can throw them under the bus and say, oh, well, actually, we have very strict guidelines and they weren't following it. It's not us, it's them. And they're not Amway, they're LTD. They're just independent distributors. Just to give you an idea of how long Larry and Pam Winters have been in Amway, let me pull up this picture for you. I don't know when this picture was taken. Needless to say, those do not even look like the same people anymore. This website that you're looking at here is called Amway Wiki. It's an unofficial website, but I have found myself going to it multiple times over the years because it is an absolute gold mine of a database of information about Amway, its tactics, and the people who are involved. Looking at this page, it says 1980 is the earliest recorded date of Larry and Pam Winters' involvement with Amway. It even has their website here, LTD team. You'll notice that secrecy is a common thread when we're looking at different lines of association in Amway. It automatically shows you this page. You have to already be a member to even access the page. The same goes for their Instagram. This is their official Instagram, 14,000 followers, but it's a private account. They need to vet you. You need to be approved before you even look at what they're doing. Why I think this video is really remarkable is because I've never seen Amway do something like this. You have to imagine that if they're coming out to apologize for these tactics now, how long have they been getting away with it? How long have they been doing it? How long have people been the victims of these false promises and prosperity gospel before they ever apologized for it? Let's just do some quick math. 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020. It's now 2025. 45 years, multiple generations, a literal lifetime that they've been in Amway pushing this. In 1980, they were 24-year-olds working as car wash employees when introduced to the business opportunity. So let me just show you. There's a video here. Larry Winters gets a warm welcome to LTD Spring Leadership 2006. So mind you, this is almost 20 years ago. Let's see how he was welcomed all the way back then. Look, I'm just going to read you from the wiki so that you don't say that it's my words, okay, Amway, okay, LTD? Some Amway distributors have been accused of using cult-like tactics to attract new distributors and keep them involved and committed. Allegations include resemblance to a Big Brother organization with a paranoid attitude toward insiders critical to the organization. Seminars and rallies resembling religious revival meetings and enormous involvement of distributors despite minimal incomes. To me, this literally looks like some Bohemian Grove mega church insanity. I don't think one could be blamed for saying that this is cult-like. Let's just say 45 years. You've been in this since you were 24. You worked at a car wash before that. Once again, have any of you heard of Larry Winters before this? This is the John Smith effect that I talk about all the time when it comes to these people who are literally treated like gurus and gods in MLM. We just saw that footage from him almost 20 years ago being hailed. You'd think you were watching footage from like a Taylor Swift concert, the way people are in hysterics over who? Larry Winters, John Smith, Dexter Yeager, Bill Britt. Who are these people? They're nobodies. And they tell you they're nobodies. They tell you in a video we're about to watch what their background was. All of them, they came from humble beginnings. They had no education. They worked at a car wash. They were born on a dirt floor in Mexico. And now they did this because of this business and this. It's all bullshit.
Larry Winters, my awesome wife Pam Winters, and we're from Raleigh, North Carolina. After graduating high school, we started a career as car wash employees.
We were newlyweds, and we realized immediately we needed more money.
And so I started thinking of other ways of generating income when we were shown a business opportunity. We went to a business conference, and they had a non-denominational Christian worship service on Sunday morning, and we both attended. And that morning I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ presented properly for the first time. And I stood up and I walked to the altar to give my life to Christ. Pam also received Christ that morning, and we both were born again. 2 years later was when we got into the Word, and that's a great great story. A friend of mine lent him his car. He said, would you wash and wax my automobile? We're at the car wash. He dropped his car off. I said, sure. He said, and if you want to drive it tonight, make yourself at home. And so I did. And as I drove it to go to a business meeting, I popped in a cassette tape. And it was the first time in my life I ever heard Kenneth Copeland. And it was like water to a thirsty man in a desert. I could not believe what I was hearing. For the first time, I heard that it was okay for Christians to prosper, for Christians to win.
So who is this guy? Who is this guy that they're crediting with changing their life and opening their minds up and helping them to realize that it's okay for Christians to prosper? Well, this video was uploaded to a channel called Kenneth Copeland Ministries. If that name sounds familiar, it's because it's the same Kenneth Copeland that was featured in documentaries like Investigating America's Richest Pastor from Tommy G 4 months ago, or I Exposed the Most Corrupt Churches in America from Tyler Oliveira. How about this video that I'm sure all of you have seen? It has 12 million views.
You said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did.
This is the guy, a mega church pastor who by many people's estimations is himself a scammer using prosperity and bastardizing the word of the Bible in order to profit and live a lavish lifestyle. This is just my opinion, but I find, just like I think you can observe with people who are high up in MLMs who have really drank the Kool-Aid and been in it for a long time, I think you can look at the face of somebody like Kenneth Copeland and he looks evil, in my opinion. I think he looks scary. Have we seen the video when he's blowing away COVID?
COVID-19!
COVID-19!
Going back to Amway, there's an entire section on their Wikipedia called Pyramid Scheme Allegations. There's subsections to it. Let's look at one, Canadian tax fraud case. This is an interesting story. Amway co-founders Richard DeVos and Jay Van Andel in 1982 were indicted in Canada on several criminal charges, including allegations that they underreported the value of goods brought into the country and had defrauded the Canadian government of more than $28 million from 1965 to 1980. Think about what $28 million in 1965 to 1980 is worth today. The charges were dropped in 1983 after Amway and its Canadian subsidiary pleaded guilty to criminal customs fraud charges. The companies paid a fine of $25 million. Mind you, this is a criminal charge, not a civil charge, a criminal fraud charge. It was the largest fine ever imposed in Canada at the time. In 1989, amazing how long these things can drag for, the company settled the outstanding customs duties for 45 million Canadian dollars. Crimes and schemes pay fines and fees. During the time that Amway's founders were indicted in Canada on criminal fraud charges for criminal customs fraud, they had the sitting president of the United States speak at one of their rallies. What did you think was going to happen? And Amway continues that trend with their involvement at the highest levels of the White House. Trump, during his first presidency, had Betsy DeVos as his Secretary of Education. Richard DeVos's son, Dick DeVos, is married to Betsy DeVos. So she's part of this Amway dynasty. You can do the same thing. You know, I'm sure some of you have seen videos talking about how like Jeffrey Epstein, his girlfriend was Ghislaine Maxwell, her father was Robert Maxwell, who was a Mossad agent, and he owned all the history books, or rather owned the company that owned the history books. And you can connect all these people, and it's like such a big conspiracy that people are waking up to. You can do the same thing with MLM. You can do the same thing with Amway. The CEOs of all the big MLM companies that have endured, and even some of the new ones, do research about their founders. All of them started in Amway. Patrick Bet-David, PHP, he got started in World Financial Group. World Financial Group is a spin-off started by a guy who was in a different, similar business model company, insurance, whose name I won't say, and that founder of that company started in Amway. Chris Terry from I Am Academy, which was shut down after it was sued this year by the FTC for being a $1.2 billion scam. He started in Amway. It literally all goes back to Amway. Some people had said in the chat that the video from Larry and Pam, the apology video, seemed like they were doing it at gunpoint. I think I have a better analogy for what it reminds me of.
We still gotta take that shit to Florida, man. Do you know what that's like these days? You got the fucking Navy all over the place. You got frogmen. You got EC2s with the satellite tracking shit in them. You got the fucking Bell 209 assault choppers up the ass, man. You know, we're losing 1 out of every 9 loaves. That's no duck walk anymore, man.
To me, I imagine in my head that there was a similar meeting that happened between Larry and Pam Winters and the big brass of Amway, where they're saying, you got the FTC sniffing around, you've got Always Marco making videos, doing 2 live streams a week. I think that what's going on here is a similar situation to what you might expect from the mob. They're trying to be cognizant of the amount of breakage that might happen. And every once in a while, you have to say, you know what? This is the cost of doing business. It's baked into it. Every once in a while, we're going to have a lawsuit. We're going to have to spend some millions to settle it. Every once in a while, we're going to have to throw somebody under the bus, you know, Larry and Pam Winters, to apologize to cover our own ass. That's what I think is happening here. Here's what I actually think should happen to Larry and Pam Winters, and it's something that Singapore is now doing.
The punishment is carried out by a specifically trained prison officer with a 1.2-meter long rattan cane striking the bare buttocks of the offender.
I'm sorry, this is hilarious. Especially trained. Like, how do you get trained specially for that? What if you miss and hit the leg a little bit, you know? I love this. I think this is exactly what's needed when it comes to scammers, especially those in MLMs who make the most egregious claims of any scams I've ever personally seen. Humiliate them. Let their bare butt ass get shown to a group of people in a professional setting and let them get lashed upon their bunda. That's what I think should happen. I bet you these cowards and grifters and snakes wouldn't be doing it again